The concrete was cold against my cheek, and for a moment, I didn't understand why I was staring at the underside of a bridge. Cars rumbled overhead, dust fell on my face, and someone far away was shouting my name, or maybe I imagined that part. Before anything else, let me say this. Subscribe, hit the like button, and tell me in the comments how old you are and where you're watching from. For you, it's a small thing. But for me, it's the reason I keep telling these stories. Sir, can you hear me? A voice called. Blue and red lights flashed across the concrete. 2 officers knelt beside me, one young enough to still believe in perfect outcomes, the other with the calm eyes of someone who'd seen too much. "What's your name?" the young one asked. "Vernon," I muttered. "Vernon Hale. And this isn't my usual sleeping arrangement." They helped me sit up. The woman officer checked my pulse. "Mr. Hale, do you remember how you got here?" Oh, I remembered plenty. The slammed car door. My son-in-law's voice saying he needed space. My daughter avoiding eye contact. The humiliating ride that ended with, "We'll come back for you, Vern. Just wait here a minute." That minute never came. "Check my left inside pocket," I said. The rookie pulled out my old wallet, opened it, and froze like someone unplugged his brain. "Sergeant, you need to see this." She looked, then stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Because inside that wallet was my old ID. Vernon Hale, founder and AMP. Chairman, Hale Infrastructure Group. The company that built the bridge I was lying under. And the officers clearly had questions I wasn't ready to answer. They wheeled me into the hospital like I was some priceless museum artifact nobody wanted to be responsible for dropping. A nurse with hair the color of oversteeped tea tried to keep a professional face, but even she kept glancing at my ID like she was wondering whether she should curtsy. "Founder and chairman, huh?" she murmured, while strapping a blood pressure cuff around my arm. "What are you doing under a bridge, Mr. Hale?" "Inspecting my infrastructure," I said. "Quality control. I give the bridge a C-. Too much dust." She snorted so hard she nearly dropped her clipboard. While she worked, I found myself studying the curtain around my bed. Thin fabric, ugly pattern, the kind that probably came from a sale bin labeled "Last Chance Before the Dumpster." Strange how quickly life shrinks. Last week I had a study with leather chairs. Today I had a curtain that looked like a disgruntled potato sack. A doctor appeared next tall, sharp nose, very serious. The type who eats kale voluntarily. "Mr. Hale, the officers told us you were found alone, disoriented, and without any personal belongings except your ID. ID's more than most people give me these days," I muttered. He raised an eyebrow. "Do you have any family we should call?" That question hit harder than the cold concrete under the bridge. Family. Ah, yes. Those people. "My daughter's name is Marlene," I said slowly. "But don't call her. She'll just say she's busy. Busy living in the house I bought. Busy listening to her husband, Rowan, complain about my taking up space. Busy forgetting I changed her diapers and paid her college tuition, even when she majored in creative movement." The nurse stifled a laugh. "Creative what?" "Movement. Modern dance. She once got an A for rolling down a hallway." The doctor cleared his throat, pretending not to smile. "We only need a number for emergencies." "This is the emergency," I said. But they wrote the number down anyway, because hospitals don't understand that some emergencies come with human names. As the doctor left, the nurse leaned closer with a whisper. "Don't worry, Mr. Hale. I've seen a lot of families. Some are loud, some are dramatic, some bring casseroles. Yours sounds like the other kind." "I always wanted a casserole family," I sighed. "The kind who shows up with food instead of eviction plans." A moment passed. Soft, quiet, heavy. And then the curtain rustled fast. Frantic. The officers were back. Their expressions had changed. Something was wrong. And I had a feeling my daughter wasn't the only one who'd been hiding things from me. The male officer, Rookie Whiskers, looked like he'd just read the ending of a book he wasn't emotionally prepared for. The sergeant beside him held my wallet like it contained the nuclear codes. "Mr. Hale," she said carefully, "we ran your ID through the system. There are some inconsistencies. Inconsistencies? I scoffed. At my age, the only inconsistency that matters is whether my knees will work when I stand up. She didn't smile, not even a twitch. According to public records, she continued, your company still lists you as missing. Missing? I blinked. I'm right here, found, present, upright. Well, mostly. Missing, she repeated, as in presumed, taken advantage of, possibly abandoned. Rookie glanced at me with the tenderness of someone staring at a sad puppy video. I hated that look. I wasn't abandoned, I snapped. I was temporarily relocated. Under a bridge, the sergeant reminded me. That's what makes it temporary. I shot back. She exchanged a glance with the rookie, the kind of professional, silent conversation that means, this old man is hiding something. And I was. Not on purpose, but because I didn't dare say it out loud. My own daughter left me there. Just then, the curtain jerked open again, and the nurse from earlier peeked in. Mr. Hale, just checking if you want tea or coffee. Do you have hot chocolate? I asked, hopeful. She frowned. This is a hospital, not a ski lodge. I'll take coffee then, I muttered. Decaf? She asked. That's not coffee, I said. That's disappointment in a cup. She left shaking her head, and I noticed even the sergeant's lips twitched that time. The rookie cleared his throat. Sir, your company employees filed the original report. They said you vanished after a family disagreement. They were worried something happened to you. My company? I repeated slowly. You mean the same company my daughter forced me to retire from? The same board that slid papers under my nose without explaining a thing? That company? They seemed genuinely concerned, he said. Of course they were concerned. Not for me. For whatever control they'd lost the second I walked out the door with that ID in my pocket. The sergeant stepped closer. Mr. Hale, we need to know what happened the night you disappeared. Disappeared? The word hung heavy in the air like I was a magician whose trick went horribly wrong. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting the memory rise like an old bruise. My daughter, I whispered. She said she was taking me for a drive. The rookie leaned in. The sergeant's expression sharpened. But that wasn't a drive, I said. That was the moment I learned just how small a place you can occupy in someone else's heart. I opened my eyes, and for the first time their pity didn't bother me, because I wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. And the next thing I was about to tell them was going to change everything they thought they knew about me and my family. I took a slow breath, the kind that rattles a little, but still proves a man isn't done talking yet. The sergeant pulled up a chair. The rookie stood stiff like he was guarding Buckingham Palace, and suddenly my little hospital cubicle felt like a courtroom. It started in my own living room, I said. The one with the fireplace I installed with my own 2 hands. My daughter, Marlene, and her husband, Rowan, sat on my sofa like prosecutors. The rookie frowned. Rowan? That's an unusual name. Oh, he's an unusual man, I replied. He wears loafers without socks. On purpose. The sergeant winced sympathetically. I went on. Marlene said living with me was too stressful. Rowan said I took up emotional bandwidth. He's the type who says phrases like that. I'd rather he just told me I chewed too loud. The rookie cracked a smile. They suggested a short drive to clear the air. I thought we were heading to the diner, you know. The one with the good meatloaf and the waitress who calls everyone Sweet Pea except Rowan because she can smell weakness. But they didn't take me to the diner? No, I said. They drove to the industrial side of town, parked under the bridge, said they'd circle the block and pick me up in a minute. They didn't come back, the rookie whispered. Not even with meatloaf. I sighed. The sergeant's face hardened. I could tell she was putting together the pieces. The missing report, my bridge accommodations, the family who treated me like expired yogurt. But I wasn't done. You know what the worst part was? I asked. What? She murmured. I apologized to them, I said. I sat there on the curb saying, I'm sorry if I've been a burden. Can you imagine? A man apologizing for having a heartbeat. The rookie shifted uncomfortably. like someone had just criticized his grandmother. Before the sadness settled too deeply, the curtain suddenly ripped open and Nurse Fern barged in. "Mr. Hale," she announced proudly, "I found hot chocolate powder in the staff lounge. It expired in 2018, but the smell is fine." "That's the spirit," I said. "Bring it in." At my age, expiration dates are just polite suggestions. She grinned and vanished. The rookie chuckled out loud finally, and the tension in the air loosened just enough for me to breathe. But then the sergeant leaned forward. "Mr. Hale, there's something else you should know." Her voice tightened, her jaw set, and I knew whatever she was about to reveal would change not just my day, but my entire understanding of what my family had been doing behind my back. The sergeant folded her hands, a gesture people use when they're about to drop a truth that doesn't come with a soft landing. "Mr. Hale," she said, "when we looked deeper into your missing person report, we found something unusual." "Unusual?" I repeated. That's a word that haunts me. Last time I heard it, my dentist said it about a tooth that later ran away on its own. The rookie blinked. "Teeth can run away?" "Son, when you turn 81, anything is possible." The sergeant cleared her throat. "According to corporate records, your family pushed through a legal request to assign a temporary guardian over your estate." My stomach dropped so fast you could have heard it thud. "A guardian?" I said. "Like I'm a houseplant that needs watering?" "They claimed you were confused, forgetful, unable to manage your own finances." "Confused?" I scoffed. "I built a billion-dollar infrastructure firm from scratch. The only thing I forget these days is where I put my reading glasses, and that's usually because I'm sitting on them." The rookie winced. "My grandpa did that last week." He stood up, and they shot across the room like a catapult. I couldn't help a laugh. "See? A universal experience." But the sergeant wasn't smiling. "Mr. Hale, your daughter listed you as mentally declining. She filed that paperwork 2 weeks before you disappeared." Silence filled the room, heavy as wet cement. 2 weeks before the bridge. 2 weeks before the car ride to nowhere. 2 weeks before the "we just need some space, Fern." "She planned it," I whispered. "She planned the whole thing." The sergeant nodded sympathetically. "It looks that way." Nurse Fern reappeared suddenly with the expired hot chocolate, holding it triumphantly like a trophy. "Here you go, Mr. Hale. 1 cup of nostalgia." I took it, with trembling hands. The warmth seeped into my fingers, but it couldn't reach the cold in my chest. "Thank you, Fern," I murmured. "You know, this might be the nicest thing anyone has done for me in months." She patted my shoulders softly and left again. The rookie shifted closer. "Sir, why would your own daughter do that?" I stared into the hot chocolate, the thin film forming on top like a miniature ice rink. "Because," I said quietly, "there's a man who once told her that money is easier to love than people, and she believed him. Rowan, always Rowan." The sergeant leaned in. "Mr. Hale, your company board filed a request to reopen the investigation into your disappearance. They want to know if foul play was involved." "Foul play?" I laughed bitterly. "Officer, what do you call dropping an old man under a bridge like a forgotten sandwich?" The rookie gasped. The sergeant didn't disagree. I set the cup down and straightened my back. And something sharp and old and stubborn stirred inside me. "They want to take my estate," I said. "My company, my name, everything I built. And now they think I'm too tired to fight." The sergeant studied me. "Are you? Tired?" I smirked. "Absolutely." I swung my legs over the bed. "Done fighting?" I stood. "Not even close." The rookie's eyes widened. "Where are you going?" "To tell you," I said, "exactly what happened the night I walked out of my own company, and why Rowan and Marlene were so desperate to erase me afterward." I eased myself back into the chair. Standing had been a bold gesture. But the truth was, my knees made a noise like 2 raccoons arguing over a trash can. The rookie rushed to help, nearly tripping over the IV pole even though I wasn't connected to it. "Careful," I told him. "If anyone's going to fall dramatically today, it should be me. I've earned it." The sergeant sat again, eyes focused, ready. "Tell us what happened at the company." I rubbed my palms together, warming them with friction and anger, both natural sources of heat for old men. It was a board meeting, I began. One of those dreadful gatherings where everyone pretends they care about the future, but really they're counting how many zeros they can add to their bonuses. The rookie nodded. Sounds like my HOA. Exactly, I said. But with better snacks. I used to bring cinnamon rolls. Rowan called them carb bombs. I ignored him, as every sane person does. The sergeant cracked a tiny smile. I continued. The company had been trying to modernize. New leadership, new direction, new priorities, blah, blah, blah. But what they really wanted was to push me out quietly. They said I was too old-fashioned. I leaned forward. Do you know what triggered the final argument? The rookie shrugged. Budget? Staff problems? A new project? No, I said. The coffee machine. Both officers blinked. Yes, the coffee machine, I repeated. They replaced our perfectly fine push-button brewer with a smart one that connected to the cloud. The cloud, I scoffed. I can barely trust actual clouds. They change shape every 5 minutes. And now they want a machine that can spy on my caffeine habits. No, thank you. The rookie snorted so loudly he covered his mouth. That day, I said, I walked into the meeting already annoyed because the new machine demanded I download an app just to get a cup of coffee. Rowan was there. He'd somehow wriggled his way onto the board as a consultant. He loves that word. It means he gets paid to have opinions. The sergeant nodded. We all know a Rowan. Oh, I know one too well, I muttered. In the meeting, I made one small suggestion. Just one. I said we should invest in building a new pedestrian bridge for the community. A safe, simple project. Something with heart. And? The rookie asked. They laughed. I said. Rowan said, Vern, charity projects are for booster clubs and retirement centers. We need profits, not nostalgia. I clenched my jaw at the memory, so I stood up, slammed my notebook down, and told them I'd rather retire than turn my life's work into a soulless vending machine for shareholders. The sergeant leaned in. And that's when you left? I nodded. I walked out. Didn't even take a cinnamon roll for the road. Biggest regret of the day. The rookie whispered, horrified. You walked out without the cinnamon roll? That's how you know it was serious, I said. Real tragedy. But then my tone softened. When I got home that night, Marlene was waiting with Rowan. I thought maybe she'd be proud of me for standing up for myself. My throat tightened. She wasn't. They said my retirement papers were already processed, that it was for the best, that I needed to let go, enjoy the quiet. I chuckled bitterly. Quiet, I said. They wanted me quiet. The sergeant's eyes darkened with understanding. And 2 days later, I whispered, they took me for that drive. Nurse Fern slipped into the room silently, just as I finished, holding a fresh blanket. Thought you might need this, she said gently. For the first time in days, I realized someone was offering me comfort, without an agenda. I swallowed hard and draped the blanket over my lap. Thank you, Fern. The sergeant tapped her pen lightly. Mr. Hale, what we need now is the full truth, because it's starting to look like your disappearance wasn't just abandonment. She hesitated. It may have been something legally worse. The rookie tensed, and the room grew still quiet enough to hear my own heartbeat because I finally knew it too. This wasn't just family betrayal. It was something calculated, something strategic, something dangerous. And I had been the target. The sergeant's words hung in the air like a heavy curtain. Even Nurse Fern paused mid-blanket adjustment, her eyebrows rising to heights previously unknown in medical history. Legally worse? I echoed, straightening my blanket. Worse than leaving an old man under a bridge. What's next, feeding me to geese? The rookie winced. Geese are dangerous, sir. Exactly why I mentioned them. The sergeant leaned forward. Mr. Hale, we believe your daughter and son-in-law may have been preparing to claim full control over your assets. If you were declared mentally unfit or missing, they'd gain access. I stared at her. Not confused, not shocked, just tired. Tired enough to sleep for 3 days on concrete, I murmured. The rookie gently placed a cup of water on the tray near me, then nudged it closer like I was at a petting zoo, and he wasn't sure if I'd bite. I took a slow sip. Mr. Hale, the sergeant said carefully, we need you to think back. Before the drive, before the bridge, did anything unusual happen at your house? Any documents they asked you to sign? Anything unexpected? I rubbed my forehead. Unexpected? My daughter once brought home a man who played the kazoo professionally. Compared to that, everything else is normal. But recently, she clarified. I closed my eyes, and the memory surfaced. It was sharp, painfully sharp, like stepping on a Lego at 3 a.m. There was a stack of papers, I said slowly. Rowan brought them to me the night before the drive. What kind of papers? The sergeant asked. He said they were routine updates for my retirement plan, I answered. Said they needed my signature, just in case. And did you sign? The rookie asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Yes, I whispered, but only because he hovered over me like a crow at a picnic. The sergeant exchanged a grave look with the rookie. What? I asked. What does that mean? Mr. Hale, she hesitated. Those papers could have included a power of attorney transfer, or a declaration you agreed to relinquish control. I blinked. Relinquish control? I gave up one cinnamon roll, not my entire identity. Did you read the documents? She asked gently. I huffed. Officer? The font was so small, I thought it was an ant's diary. The rookie nearly choked, trying not to laugh. The sergeant sighed. This could be bigger than abandonment. It could be financial manipulation of a vulnerable adult. I raised an eyebrow. Vulnerable? The only thing vulnerable about me is my cholesterol. Fern reappeared with a clipboard. Mr. Hale, your blood pressure is surprisingly good, for someone whose life is basically a soap opera. Thank you, Fern, I said. Always good to know my arteries are handling the plot better than I am. She winked and left. The sergeant leaned closer. Here's the part I need you to understand, Mr. Hale. If you were declared missing and mentally unfit, and if your estate was being transferred, she inhaled, your disappearance wasn't an accident. It was convenient. Convenient. The word sliced through me. They didn't just leave me under that bridge because they were overwhelmed, or frustrated, or confused. They left me there because it made the paperwork easier. My hands trembled not from fear, but from something hotter, older, sharper, anger. The rookie finally spoke, voice quiet but firm. Sir, we're going to help you. But first, we need to know exactly what happened the moment they drove away. I looked up at the officers, at the curtain, at the dim hospital light. And for the first time since that bridge, I was ready to say it out loud. I took a deep breath the kind old men take before saying something that's been rotting inside them for too long. The room felt smaller, the lights brighter, and the rookie somehow looked younger, like he'd aged backward from the weight of the conversation. When they drove away, I began slowly. I honestly thought it was a joke. A joke? The rookie echoed incredulous. Yes, Rowan loves pranks, the kind only he laughs at. Once he replaced my cane with a broom handle. I chased him with it. He ran. The broom snapped. A tragedy in 3 acts. The sergeant coughed to hide her amusement. I continued. They parked me under that bridge. Said they'd swing back. Rowan even gave me a thumbs up. A thumbs up! Like he was dropping me off at a day spa instead of a patch of gravel. And Marlene? The sergeant asked gently. I swallowed hard. She couldn't look at me, not once. She stared through the windshield like there was something fascinating happening on the concrete wall. I called her name twice, but she just tightened her grip on her purse. My voice cracked in places. Age can do that, so can heartbreak. When the taillights disappeared, I thought, they got lost. Missed a turn. Maybe Rowan had a brilliant idea and stopped for kombucha. I rolled my eyes. He drinks flavors like urban sunshine and fermented unity. Sounds awful, the rookie said. It is, I confirmed. I leaned back, letting the memory continue its slow, painful replay. It wasn't until the sky got darker and the temperature dropped that I realized they weren't coming back. The sergeant's expression softened. Not pity, something deeper. I tried calling Marlene, I said. My phone battery died halfway through dialing. Maybe that was a blessing. I wasn't ready to hear her voicemail say, "Leave a message and I'll get back to you." She never gets back to anyone. I chuckled bitterly. But you know what I did next? Something truly pathetic. What? The rookie asked. I waited, I whispered. I waited like an obedient dog. I told myself they were delayed, that something urgent happened, that maybe they planned a surprise. The sergeant leaned in. You were hoping? Yes, I admitted. Old men do that. We hope for the best even when the worst is waving at us from the passenger seat. A silence stretched thin but warm. I sat there on the concrete. I continued softly, using my jacket as a cushion. Cars passed overhead. A raccoon inspected my shoes. Even it looked disappointed in me. Eventually, I lay down because my back couldn't take it anymore. The rookie whispered, "And that's how the officers found you." Yes, I nodded. A man who built bridges, sleeping under one. The sergeant's face tightened not with anger at me, but anger for me. And that, I said, letting out a shaky breath, is the moment I realized something important. What's that? She asked. That I could wait there forever, I said, but they were never coming back. The air in the room thickened. But, I added, a small fire lighting behind my ribs. What they didn't know was that someone else saw them, someone who recognized my face. The rookie blinked. Saw who? I let the moment stretch just long enough. The night. Watch janitor from my own company, I said quietly. He told me the next day that he'd seen my daughter's car under that bridge. The sergeant straightened. You're saying there's a witness? Oh, yes, I replied. A witness, and a very loyal old friend. The rookie gasped, and the sergeant whispered, Mr. Hale, this changes everything. I leaned forward in the chair, the blanket slipping from my lap like even it wanted to hear what came next. The sergeant looked electrified. The rookie was already halfway emotionally invested, and somewhere behind the curtain, Fern paused, probably pretending to sort cotton balls while eavesdropping with Olympic-level focus. You have a witness? The sergeant pressed. Oh, more than a witness, I said. A saint in a janitor's uniform. His name is Amos Grider. Man's been sweeping the halls of Hale infrastructure for 38 years. He knows every rumor, every creaking pipe, and where the good snacks are hidden. The rookie whispered. A man like that sees everything. Exactly. I nodded. Amos worked the late shift the night my daughter left me under that bridge. He told me later he recognized Marlene's car because she parks diagonally like she owns geometry. Fern let out a tiny laugh from behind the curtain. The sergeant ignored it. Barely. Amos said he and his wife were driving home from Bible study. I continued. Passed under the bridge. Saw a figure that looked like me sitting alone. He told his wife, That's Mr. Hale. She said, Don't be silly, Amos. Mr. Hale doesn't sit under bridges. The rookie grinned. I like her. She's a smart woman. I agreed. Amos slowed down, I went on. Wanted to turn around, but his wife had a pot roast in the back seat and insisted they get home before it cooled. Pot roast can be persuasive, the rookie said gravely. Oh, I know, I sighed. I've known pot roast that ended marriages. The sergeant gently tapped her pen. So Amos came back later? Yes, I nodded. After unloading the pot roast, which was a priority, apparently he drove back, but I was gone. The officers had already picked me up. And Amos contacted you? She asked. No, I corrected. He contacted the company, told them he thought he'd seen me under the bridge. The rookie frowned. And what did the company say? I let a slow, cold breath leave my lungs. They told him, I said that I was fine, with my family, resting, and that he must have been mistaken. The sergeant froze. They dismissed him? She asked. Dismissed him? I repeated. They practically swatted him away like a mosquito wearing a tie. Told him not to spread confusion. Which means, the rookie began. It means someone at that company, I said, already knew where I was. They just didn't want anyone else to know. Even Fern peeked around the curtain now, wide-eyed like a meerkat. The sergeant rose halfway from her chair. Mr. Hale, you realize this could imply coordination. That's a fancy word, I said. I prefer scheme. Less syllables, more truth. The rookie leaned closer. Sir, what did Amos do after that? Oh, I said, letting a slow smile tug at my lips. Amos may be quiet, but he is not stupid. The moment they brushed him off, he made copies of everything he saw. Wrote down the date, the time, the weather, and what song was playing on the radio. What song? The rookie asked. Take It Easy by the Eagles, I said. Deeply ironic, given the situation. Even the sergeant smirked. And, I added, he left a message on the company hotline documenting it all. They thought ignoring him was enough. They had no idea he'd saved everything. The sergeant's eyes widened. He kept records, evidence. 38 years of sweeping floors gives a man patience, I said proudly, and maybe a little spite. He likes things tidy, including the truth. A moment of silence settled around us. Heavy, powerful, transformative. The sergeant finally spoke. Mr. Hale, with Amos as a witness, with the paperwork Rowan pushed on you, with the abandoned location, this is no longer just a family matter. The rookie nodded. This is a case. I inhaled slowly, let the blanket fall back over my legs, and said, good, because I'm done waiting under bridges. And although I'd lived 81 years, that was the moment I felt the story finally turn in my direction. The sergeant straightened her uniform. The rookie braced himself like he was about to witness history, and I pulled my blanket tighter, because even heroes of infrastructure get cold knees. Mr. Hale, the sergeant said, with your permission, we're opening a formal investigation. Your witness, your documents, your abandonment. This isn't just wrongdoing. This may be a full attempt to seize your estate. I nodded slowly. Good. I've built bridges my whole life. Time to burn a few. But before the officers could leave, the curtain swished open like a stage reveal, and in walked Marlene. Hair perfect, coat expensive, eyes wide, with guilt disguised as concern. Dad! She gasped. You're here? We've been looking everywhere. I raised a hand. No need to act, sweetheart. There's no audience here, unless you count Fern. Fern lifted her clipboard like a judge about to issue a verdict. Marlene's eyes darted to the sergeant, to the rookie, to my wallet on the bed. Her face paled. This isn't what you think, Rowan said, Dad. We didn't mean... Stop, I said gently. Please. It's embarrassing for both of us. She froze, and for once, she listened. The sergeant stepped forward. Mrs. Whitford, we have questions for you and your husband. A lot of them. Marlene swallowed hard. Is this official? Yes, ma'am, the rookie said, sounding more confident than usual. Very official. She looked at me then, really looked, and something in her expression cracked. A daughter who once danced on my shoes at Christmas. A woman who now signed papers against me. Dad, I didn't think it would go this far, she whispered. It always goes farther than you expect, I said softly. Especially when you start by driving someone under a bridge. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. I know, I said, but apologies don't build trust. Only actions do. The sergeant motioned her toward the hall. We'll continue this outside. Marlene nodded, shoulders slumped, and followed them out. The rookie gave me a small, proud salute as he left. When the curtain closed, Fern stepped in with a cup of warm broth. You handled that better than most men your age, she said. I handled that better than most men my daughter's age, I replied. She laughed. So what now, Mr. Hale? I leaned back, letting the hospital bed hold me for the first time. Now, I said, now the investigation starts. My estate is safe. The company knows I'm alive. And my daughter, well, she'll have to find her conscience again. Fern handed me the broth. And you? Me? I smiled. A real one. The first in a long time. I'm going home. Not to their house, to mine. And I'm bringing Amos a pot roast. She chuckled. You think he'll like that? Fern, I said, sipping the broth. Any man who saves a witness statement while protecting a pot roast deserves one of his own. I closed my eyes, finally at peace, because in the end, I wasn't the man lying forgotten under a bridge anymore. I was the man who built it, and the man who walked back over it with dignity still intact. Justice wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It wasn't cruel. It was simple. I got my life back, and they lost control because they lost me.